Checkout is a fun little game where the contestant bids on 5 groceries with the attempt to come within a certain amount either below or above the actual prices. Not one of the most action-packed games, but it is still a fun watch. This is going to be a short and sweet one today, folks. Here we go with 5 fun facts about Checkout. Number 5. The set. There have been 2 versions of the set with small cosmetic changes made. The first set, which consists of the grocery items, the total readout, and the calculator used by the model to type in the amount, is the most iconic. The second set, which was slightly updated, debuted in December of 2000, just before there was one major change made. Number 4. The calculator was removed because it looked too fake. One of the most notable features about the game, the giant calculator used to total the contestants' bids, was removed after its button ceased to serve any real purpose. Since then, the bids just show up on the display, eliminating the model from the game. Arguably, this was the most fun aspect of Checkout, and there really is something missing about it today as a result. Number 3. The range. When the game premiered, the range a contestant could be over or under was a mere 50 cents, but those were very different times. The range was later expanded to $1, and now it's $2. Adjusting for inflation is quite common and necessary when you've been on the air for 52 years. Number 2. You can go over. In most Price is Right games that involve bids, the contestant generally must come as close to the actual retail price without going over, but Checkout is one of the exceptions. In Checkout, a contestant can go over and still win the game as long as they're above or below the $2 range. Just one of those fun little nuances that makes it stand out just a little bit more. And the number 1 fun fact about Checkout, it's not the first game to be played using groceries. Obviously, this is not the first grocery game to be played on the show. There was already a grocery game that debuted back in 1972 where a contestant had to bid on groceries as part of the game. What was the name of this grocery game? Bullseye, I think. I'm just kidding, of course. But do come back next time where I will pick my next game to review. Pick a Pair is a quick game that isn't too difficult and is fun to play along with at home. Let's have some fun talking about a game that certainly has had more than one overall look over the years. Here we go with 5 fun facts about Pick a Pair. Number 5. The major set overhaul. Throughout the 1980s, Pick a Pair had a carnival and Ferris wheel motif, which was unique but also led to, at times, excruciatingly slow gameplay. After a hiatus, the game returned in its current format in 1990 with the carnival theme reduced greatly. Now the contestant is able to see all the items at once, where in the Ferris wheel days, only half the items were visible at any given time. How do you feel about the game's overhaul? Let me know in the comments. Number 4. Slight title change. Well, kind of. When the game was revamped to its current look, hyphens were added between the words of the title. This will be the second game to use this kind of formatting following Punch-a-Bunch. There will also be another game to follow this formatting, but I'm not getting into that one until much later. Number 3. The music. During the latter portion of the game's Ferris wheel days, the song used during gameplay was American Patrol, a march written in 1885 by F.W. Meacham. The song would later be used for items up for bids during the rest of the Bob Barker era of the show. Number 2. It was once played for 2 cars. Pick a Pair was once played for 2 cars during Twins Day in 2012. 1 car per twin. It's fun little specials like this that really make the show stand out in the otherwise bleak world that has become daytime TV. And the number 1 fun fact about Pick a Pair, the game is won often. Based on a small sample size, Pick a Pair is one of the most successful games on the show in terms of winning percentage. On average, 3 out of every 4 contestants who play Pick a Pair win the prize. Not too bad for a quick little game such as this one. And folks, next time on this show, I will have the game I'm sure you've been waiting for. Get ready to drop those chips because Plinko is next. You won't want to miss it. Arguably, Plinko is the most popular game in Price is Right history. Full of suspense and the potential to win large sums of money, Plinko is one of the most played games and is often considered iconic in the eyes of viewers. Celebrating its 40th year on The Price is Right, here we go with 5 fun facts about Plinko. First off, an honorable mention. While this series doesn't often discuss individual game statistics as fun facts, Plinko has had its share of major winners well worth discussing. In 1990, a contestant hit the top value $5,000 slot 4 out of 5 times, earning $21,000. The most amount of money ever won on Plinko happened in 2019. A contestant hit the middle slot once during $1 Million Plinko, which was worth $200,000. While earning a ton of money is difficult in Plinko, wins like this are a cause for celebration. And now, the main list. Number 5. It was created by Frank Wayne. Wayne was the original executive producer of The Price is Right from 1972 until his death in 1988. He entered the show with decades of game show experience, having been the creator of the original Match Game, Now You See It, and Laugh Line hosted by Dick Van Dyke. After his death, the role of executive producer was officially credited to Bob Barker. Number 4. Some early installment weirdness. As is the case with many classic TV moments, it took Plinko a little time to completely catch its footing. First off, the game starts out with the lowering of a disco ball to announce the $25,000 top prize. Plinko chips were referred to as discs, and instead of revealing the correct price of the items, the winning card just simply says win, while the losing card wasn't in red yet to signify a loss. Otherwise, not including the game's top dollar amounts, the game has only seen minor changes over the last 40 years. Number 3. An entire episode was dedicated to Plinko. To celebrate the game's 30th anniversary in 2013, Plinko was played for all 6 pricing games. In addition to the regular cash prizes offered as normal, the game was also played for various large prizes including a car, an SUV, and a trip to London, among others. It truly was a remarkable way to celebrate such a special pricing game. Number 2. The game was once rigged. Relax, no conspiracy theories here, there is a logical explanation to this one. In 2008, pieces of fishing line were used to rig the board for a promotion so that the chip would always land in the top dollar spot, at the time worth $10,000. However, they were mistakenly left during a taping of the show. After 3 chips all found their way into the same top dollar spot, the mistake was caught and the game was replayed from the beginning with no mention of the mistake happening on the air. Still, the contestant was given the prize money, so at least the story had a happy ending. And the number 1 fun fact about Plinko: Plinko has an entire merchandise line. Plinko is beloved by people whether they are casual viewers of the show or longtime fans. The game is so popular that there is a wide-scale merchandise line which includes a home version of Plinko, arcade games, carnival games, and of course, t-shirts and even bed sheets. There is truly no other game on The Price is Right quite like Plinko. Master Key is a fun game where the contestant wins keys to unlock their way to a brand new car and perhaps 2 other smaller prizes. One of my favorite games on The Price is Right. I've been excited to talk about this Frank Wayne created game for a while now. Here we go with 5 fun facts about Master Key. Number 5. The 2020 redesign. In May of 2020, the game was given a new, more modern overall look. Based on audience reaction, the refurbishment of games in recent years has been mixed, to say the least. While some embrace the modernization, others wish the games would remain untouched. What do you think about the new look of Master Key? Personally, I like the fact that the color scheme now matches the current turntable. Number 4. The keys work because of magnets. The keys in Master Key don't work like conventional keys and locks. The game works entirely dependent on where magnets are placed within the keys themselves. The keys that will give away 1 prize have 1 magnet, while the Master Key has 3 magnets which will open all 3 locks. The key that unlocks nothing will have 0 magnets. Sometimes the key to TV magic, no pun intended, are the simplest of ideas. Number 3. Signage in the way. One time the game was played without the Master Key sign, but the reason for it was simple. Due to the very decorative nature of the set during Christmas, it was decided to have a wreath in the place where a sign would be. If there is anything The Price is Right has never skimped on over the years, is their passion for celebrating Christmas every year. Although there was one year when a Christmas episode didn't air as scheduled. If you want to see more episodes that didn't air as scheduled, check out my video 10 Epic Reasons Price is Right episodes didn't air as scheduled, available on this channel. Number 2. Prop malfunctions. During a 1984 playing of the game, one of the keys got stuck in a lock. Hilariously, Bob tries to use conventional methods to turn the key in the lock, but to no avail. So what does he do next? Gives it a swift kick, breaking the key in half. Oops. And to top it off, that's not the only time the game broke like this. In 2002, a lock malfunctioned, and Bob ended up slamming the key against the lock, which caused part of it to fall off. Sometimes the funniest things happen when things just don't work out as planned. And the number one fun fact about Master Key, the first big win. When Master Key debuted in March of 1983, the contestant only won one of two keys possible. But would you believe it? The only key they won just so happened to be the Master Key. What a great way to kick off such a fun little game. The phone home game was one of the most advertised, hype games in the history of The Price is Right. It is also one of the most unique as two contestants are involved, one in the studio and a second contestant via the phone. I've been waiting a while to talk about this one. Here we go with 5 fun facts about the phone home game. Number 5. The inspiration for the name. The phone home game got its name from the classic film E.T. the Extraterrestrial, which was not long beforehand released in theaters and was a monster hit for Steven Spielberg and Amblin Entertainment. Made on a $10 million budget, the film grossed $792 million, which would be the equivalent of almost $2.5 billion today. Number 4. The caller's hold time. Generally, the game was played in the first half of the show for a fairly simple reason. Since the home contestant was called before the taping of the show, the staff found it would be impolite to keep the caller on hold for any extended period of time. In this case, the contestant would usually hold for approximately 20 minutes before being used on the air, and they say chivalry is dead. Number 3. The phone jack. Obviously, a phone jack was needed to play the phone home game. Even though the game was retired in 1989, the phone jack in which was used to play the game remained as part of the set until the end of the Bob Barker era, when the set was rebuilt for Drew Carey. Thus, this relic survived a full 18 years after the last phone home game was played. Number 2. Bob teased the game, but technically didn't need to. One of the most unique aspects to the phone home game is that Bob actually teased it the day before it aired, telling viewers that it will be on tomorrow's show and to be ready in the event that he will call you. However, this was really just a gimmick, as the show had already been taped well before it aired, thus Bob essentially just lied to his audience to get people to watch. So when Bob says, "Tune in, I might just be calling you," don't get your hopes up, because that call was already made well beforehand. Before I continue, I just want to say that I am well aware there were at least 5 perfect playings of this game and several wipeouts. I don't often discuss wins and losses on this series because there isn't much more I can say about them other than they happened. But if you would like me to talk more about wins and losses, do let me know, because I'm always looking for ways to improve. And the number 1 fun fact about the phone home game, it was retired due to the length of gameplay. Along with the belief that the game wasn't drawing enough interest, the phone home game was retired in 1989 after a very solid 6 years on the air due to the game taking a very long time to play. With current episodes of The Price is Right running approximately 38 minutes, it is highly unlikely that the phone home game will see any kind of resurgence in the future. Walk of Fame was a short-lived game that honestly doesn't give me a whole lot to work with this week, but I'm going to do my best. I'm sure many of you are going to enjoy adding some honorable mentions in the comments, so please let me know what other interesting things that could be added. The next few reviews might be a challenge, but all pricing games means all pricing games. So here we go with 5 fun facts about Walk of Fame. Number 5. It's based on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. While there are many walks of fame in the world, none are as famous as the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Featuring over 2,700 stars taking up 15 blocks, it is a staple of Los Angeles tourist attractions. Featuring actors, filmmakers, radio stars, and even fictional characters, it is a monument of sorts to the world of entertainment and well worth visiting at least once. Number 4. Similarities to other games. One thing about Price is Right games is that in some cases, certain games bear similarities to others. When it comes to Walk of Fame, the game's range game, spelling bee, and checkout bear some similarities. These 3 games, of course, are still played today. Number 3. Signatures. If a contestant got an answer wrong, they had the opportunity to continue the game via a pair of autograph books featuring autographs from members of the show. After the death of Johnny Olsen in 1985 until the game's retirement, there was no mention of signatures, only whether or not the contestant won a second chance. A nice way of handling one of the darkest times in the show's history. Number 2. It was once played for a Zowie Zipper one-seater commuter car. Walk of Fame was played for a variety of prizes, from trailers to spas to cars and even Zowie Zippers. A what? What in the world is this thing? Is this even from this world? Is this E.T.'s car? Don't laugh too hard. With its engine based on that of a motorcycle, this beast could reach top speeds of 45 miles per hour. Okay, maybe it is okay to laugh at this one. And the number 1 fun fact about Walk of Fame, it was retired due to inflation. People speak of inflation as if it was a new phenomenon, but back in the 1980s, it was a big deal. In relating to The Price is Right, inflation was causing the game to become extremely difficult, and thus wins were becoming harder to come by. I know this was kind of a tough list to get through this week, but hopefully for next time, I'll be able to bring balance to this review show. The 1984-1985 era was a fairly disastrous one, with several games premiering in a row that wouldn't have a long shelf life. Balance Game was one of those games that debuted to some hype, was played on occasion, and then retired almost 2 years later. With this game having such a short existence and little contestant interest, this is going to be another tough list, folks. Here we go with 5 fun facts about Balance Game 1. Number 5. Barker Silver Dollars. The silver dollars used in Balance Game were obviously not legal currency. They were specially minted silver dollars with Bob's face engraved on them. Maybe a bit egotistical, but also very much a branded relic of the era, with some of them even becoming collector's items in later years. But not all of the coins, which leads me to... Number 4. Silver dollars were later reused. Many of the silver dollars used in the old Balance Game were purported to later be reused when the new version of the Balance Game was created in 2006. But I'll talk about Balance Game 2 when it's time to cross that bridge. On a side note, All Pricing Games has officially reached 3 years old. Honestly, I never expected this series to continue for 3 years, as this started as a pandemic project. And while I have sadly lost most of my audience over time, All Pricing Games is still the most popular series on my channel. So for those of you who have stuck around since the beginning, I appreciate your continued support, and I hope to finish the series one day. Okay, moving on. Number 3. It was rarely played in its second year. Balance Game was only played 5 times during Season 14, being retired halfway through the year. It was obvious by the second year that audiences simply were not interested in this game the way the production staff had hoped. Number 2. It was retired with 3 other games. By the end of 1985, there was a purging of sorts, as several of the least popular games were chopped heading into the second half of the 1980s. Among those games that were retired were this one, along with Trader Bob, the not yet premiered On the Nose, and Walk of Fame. This would open up room for new games and some great ones that were just shortly ready to premiere on the horizon. And the number 1 fun fact about Balance Game 1, it was retired likely due to the confusing rules. Balance Game was a confusing game with convoluted rules that led to contestants never really gaining a grasp on it. Much like Hit Me in the later part of its run, Bob had to essentially hold the contestant's hand through this game from beginning to end, really killing the fun of it. Thus, Balance Game will go on as being a short-lived game from an era that is otherwise looked fondly upon by longtime fans of the show. On the Nose was a rather enjoyable game that may have missed its mark with its difficulty level depending on the contestant. One of the many athletic games to make its mark on The Price is Right, this one really tested the contestant's ability to play a particular sport with no prior practice or warning. This was yet another tough list to put together because this game was so short-lived, but here we go with 5 fun facts about On the Nose. Number 5. It required real athletic skill. While games like Race Game and Bonkers require the contestant to be in relatively good physical condition to play, this game requires not only that, but also the ability to play the sport that was given to them. For example, if the contestant got baseball and had no real throwing experience, it could dramatically decrease their chances of winning. With the game seeing success in other countries such as Germany, does this reflect American athleticism as being weak even in the 1980s? It is absolutely debatable. Number 4. 5 different sports were used. One of the most unique aspects to On the Nose was that the contestant was given a sport during the playing of the game or in later versions before Door 2 opened. There were 5 total sports in rotation, including baseball, basketball, football, darts, and tennis. Each sport was played slightly differently, but all had the same overall goal of either getting a ball in a hole or bursting a balloon. Reach the goal and win the prize. Easier said than done, though. Number 3. Bob's inspiration. Much like with Super Ball and of course Hole-in-One or 2, Bob would give an inspiration throw to give the contestant a boost in morale. Of course, half the fun would be watching Bob miss and then come up with some hilarious excuse as to why he missed. Bob's inspiration always made for great television. Number 2. It was played only 4 times in its second year. On the Nose was losing popularity among the staff quickly after the first year, and by year 2 was only played 4 times before its ultimate retirement. Which leads me to the number 1 fun fact about On the Nose: it was retired for being too difficult. On the Nose was a very tough game to win, even if the contestant was athletic in nature. It's the nature of sports, and with the game being so difficult to win, On the Nose was rather quickly retired, which now makes the last 4 games reviewed to be retired. But don't worry, I'm only 1 game away from talking about one of the most popular games of the 1980s to premiere. One Away is a staple of pricing games played for cars and is still played regularly 40 years after its debut in 1984. Each digit is 1 away from the correct one, so oh mighty sound effects lady, give us some good news because here we go with 5 fun facts about 1 Away. Number 5. It was Drew's first $1 Million Spectacular. 1 Away was played as the $1 Million game on Drew Carey's first Spectacular in 2008. In this playing of 1 Away, if the contestant was able to get all 5 digits correct on their first attempt, they would win the car plus $1 million. This was, however, lost. Number 4. 4 wipeouts. For a contestant to get 0 digits on their first attempt is extremely rare and honestly pretty embarrassing. In the entire history of the show as of recording this video, there have been 4 complete wipeouts. In 1985 and 1988, the game was lost with 4 digits in the price of the car, and in 1990 and 2002, 5 digits were used. Once the contestant gets all of their digits wrong, it is considered an automatic loss. A terrible way to go out. Number 3. It originally used chimes. In the earliest playing of 1 Away, chimes were used instead of car horns. The contestant would ask, "Gentlemen, let me hear the chimes." However, this was very quickly replaced by the horns we know and love today. Number 2. 1 small makeover. Although the game hasn't changed in design since its debut, there was one slight alteration made back in 2000. The original neon sign was replaced by a standard sign due to the neon not working correctly. Honestly, I think the current sign looks much better anyway. What do you think? And the number 1 fun fact about 1 Away: it has an estimated 39% win percentage. 1 Away gives away nice cars for a reason. It's a tough game to win. With an estimated 39% winning percentage, anyone who wins on 1 Away well deserves the nice car they go home with. It was fun talking about a game that is still on the air today, but I am certainly excited for the next time as I get into one of the most controversial games to ever take place on the show.